Hello everyone, this is another speed draw video and I'm going to do a little commentary for it. So yeah, this is another old video. This is me doing Beluga Weekly number 144. Yeah, and this has a character called Stephanie, I believe. Yeah, and she's a character that popped up quite a lot in Beluga Weekly because yeah, I kind of like the kind of innocence of this character. It was nice to have one who wasn't like either really cynical or just really grumpy. And I've done a lot of characters like that, and a lot of them were just very. They got to the point where they were a bit dull. So I like Stephanie because she had a bit of a spark to her, and this isn't one of the best comics that she appears in, because this was another week where I ended up just doing something really random because I couldn't really think of a decent joke. So I'm going to try not to go on about that too much. But what you're seeing now is obviously that's quite obvious. I'm creating a pile of money, and those are usually pretty straightforward because you literally just use the shape tools. You don't have to think about brush shapes or anything. Any objects that are kind of like I don't know, geometric or what's the word? This is crazy. I basically whenever I have to draw like objects that have very flat surfaces or anything, um, they're nice and straightforward because you just don't have to think about the same kind of things. And I think because I don't know, can't quite remember now what sort of thickness I ended up using, but right there you can see how line thickness does make a big difference. Because if I made the outlines of those coins too thick, it would blend too much with the way I've drawn Stephanie's hands. Because if every line has the same thickness, then yeah, that could be a problem. And I think it's quite possible that I didn't fully understand that even when I was doing this one, because I was quite obsessed with just keeping everything consistent. Like if I had the lines set to a certain thickness, I'd just use that. So I think it was usually just accidental if the line thickness seemed to work particularly well. I mean, I think once again the lemonade inside that jug. I think I decided not to thicken that one because it looks more like liquid when it has a nice thin outline. So yeah, things like that. I've really only just started properly working out and like doing experiments with. And I think, in particular, because I've done so much digital art over the years, I still find myself thinking maybe I should have another go at doing some traditional sketching and get the old sketchbook out and do things like that. Because I'm now trying out things like different types of pens and yeah, things that I just wasn't really doing. Because I've been a fan of drawing for a long time, but I would always be really consistent, and I wouldn't really think about. I'm still not that great at shading, but that's another thing that I just need to experiment with more. I think. Even colours, I don't know. I make a lot of schoolboy errors when I'm colouring in stuff. So yeah, I had to draw this character going into a shop, which is something that I really don't like. I don't like having to draw buildings. That's that's another one of those things that I have said, not too long ago, that I wanted to get better at backgrounds. I don't really feel like I have committed to that. It's another one of those things. I say I need to do it, but I don't really end up doing it. I'm drawing a piggy bank there. You can see it. I think I sometimes worry that if I'm drawing something that's meant to resemble an animal, but like obviously it's a piggy bank, so it's not an actual pig. I wonder how. Yeah, you just got to make sure that the slot is perfectly visible, because then, yeah, that's all a piggy bank needs. You can't confuse it for a real pig, and the size probably plays a part. She's wandering around with a piglet. I quite like the pose I've done her in there. Skipping along excitedly. So yeah, I had fun drawing this character. As I say, basically she spent all her money on a piggy bank, so now she has no money to put it in. That's literally that's what you get in this episode. I don't know how I would change this. Like, maybe if I could redraw this one, I might be able to come up with something better. But yeah, I think it's because I used to the one thing I used to do on my podcast was I would go back and look at a lot of these old comics and think which ones did I think worked quite well and which ones didn't. And I can't remember if I talked about this one, and I also can't remember what I said. If I obviously if I did talk about it, I can't remember. I don't think this is one of my favourites, simply because I always say I know I can do better. This is not one of my better ones. But yeah, I have a good time with this character. It's great when you have a character that you feel comfortable practicing. Like, you just something about, if there's something enjoyable there, then that really helps. That's a good sign. Once again, look, I'm doing like this table thing, very very basic, just using the lines and squares. That's probably a thing to look at, because, as I say, I'm trying to get better at with lines and things. So it might be a good idea to look back at some of these comics and think about. Well, apparently I'm about halfway through this, so I should have plenty of time. I probably should be doing my chores right now, but I thought, nah, who cares? I'm just gonna. Oh, and look, there's a Eugene bank. He just has a little round eye, because again, I don't want it to look like the actual Eugene. It's just like it's a beluga whale bank instead of a piggy bank. That's what I decided to put into the header. So I'm about to colour everything in amateurishly. Yeah, she's cute, isn't she? Yeah, I think wasn't she in one of the 2015 Beluga Weeklies? Maybe more than one, because that was like an ongoing series. Anyway, yeah, she might be one of my favourites. Do my best to with that background doesn't. I don't know what I'm trying to do there. Is that like a riverbank or something? She's a little alligator, so I thought obviously she lives by the river. So once again, I'm kind of going back to this shop, which I clearly wasn't looking forward to designing this. I thought I'll just make it look rustic because it's like a, yeah, it's the 99-cent store in the swamp. So it doesn't really demand lots of sort of grand detail. I kind of like how. Did I tilt the sign? I can't remember if I probably should have tilted the sign. But yeah, more shapes and things, just working those. So lazy. The thing is, you don't want to get too lazy because otherwise it just becomes less enjoyable, I'm finding. You need a bit of ambition. You can't just... because I kind of found myself being forced to cut corners because, yeah, I'm trying to get a new one out every week. So it sort of requires... Because obviously if the background needs to look the same in more than one panel, then I will just copy and paste the background because there's no need to draw it again, really. Although I think because I found myself looking at other cartoonists who do the more stylized. Sometimes you can see where some cartoonists will do a comic in which everything's a little inconsistent, and it's because of the style. And I feel quite envious of that because the thing is, I don't really have the patience to redraw everything, but I find it quite remarkable seeing how. Because the thing is, if your character has a distinctive face, I suppose, especially with digital art, you can reuse that same face. That's what I found with Tracy. Because whenever I draw Tracy, I tend to just use the exact same face because she never changes her expression. So that's just a matter of copying and pasting. So yeah, I do look at other people's work sometimes, and I think that is just so brilliant. How it doesn't look like much, but if you really think about it, they've had to redraw a lot of stuff because I never really like the sound of that. Like when I have to do a project, I never want to spend a lot of time. Mind you, I think it's fair to say my best work is usually just accidental. So yeah, basically, if I happen to be drawing something for just like no real reason or anything, sometimes I end up thinking, oh wow, this is looking great, and it's a bit annoying because I wish I could have experienced that more when I was doing Beluga Weekly, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a bit reluctant to carry on, even to finish off the story arc I was working on last year. And I keep saying maybe I'll do it, but this seems less likely as time goes on because I'm working on other things now. Things are changing, but yeah, I do find this quite interesting. There I'm doing a bit of. Usually I don't bother to edit things in Photoshop. Usually literally all I do in Photoshop is just add the colours and any kind of effects that I could, just sort of lazily add gradients and drop shadows on things. So yeah, occasionally I'll look at something and I think I need to fix that. Because Photoshop does have all the tools. Because this is a very old version of Photoshop. It was way out of date even back then. Because this is about 5 years ago or something. But even knowing that, they were much better. Photoshop was much better at this point. I just hadn't treated myself to it. I'm loving the latest version of Photoshop. It's got everything I need. Anyway, so yeah, I realised that I hadn't put the floor in on that one, so I finished doing the background on there. So I still need to colour in the final panel. As you can see, I would put like sound effects, that ka-ching. That's what I really liked about Comic Life. I had a lot of fun using Comic Life to put in the sound effects. Now I just do everything either in Illustrator or Photoshop, because I'm just like, well, I might as well. Now that I've set up templates for my work in Photoshop, there we go. I'm nearly done. It's almost ready. So yeah, but I like being able to adjust the speech bubbles, and there we go. It's all finished. So that's Beluga Weekly number 144. Hope you found this interesting, and I'll try and do some more of these. It is taking me a while to make arrangements for these. I'm working on other things as well, but yeah, I intend to carry this on a bit more. So yeah, okay. See you around.